everybody. Welcome into another edition of the Computer America Show. It's Tuesday, and we're going to have computer and technology news, both hours, brought to you by Slimware Utilities, the official optimization software of Computer America. So sit back, relax, enjoy the both hours. We got some really interesting stories coming up for both hours. So,
1 minute until showtime.
and I know you'll find them entertaining and newsworthy as well. So sit back, relax, enjoy 2 hours of Computer America coming at you right here.
Clips and videos. While you're there, be sure to sign up on our email list.
30 seconds.
Your show will go live in 5 seconds. 4, 3, 2, 1.
Broadcasting live, it's America's longest-running national radio talk show on computers, Computer America, hosted by national columnist Craig Crossman. Look for Craig's weekly column in your favorite newspaper. This show is being beamed nationwide at ComputerAmerica.com. Keep it here for technology news, computer products, guest interviews, and your phone calls. You're listening to Computer America.
Hello and welcome into the Computer America Show. It's the nation's longest running, nationally syndicated radio talk show on computers. Computer America is heard around the world and coast to coast. And I'm your host, Craig Crossman.
And I'm your co-host, Ben.
And we are here on Tuesday. And welcome to all of you at the Computer America Show. As always, a terrific show planned for you. You know, it's live broadcasting. Things changed in the last month. We had Simple Matters scheduled to be on the show talking about their Ditto product, but they are moving to a different time later on this month, and these things happen. So what we're going to have for you is a both hours computer and technology news brought to you by Slimware Utilities. They are the official optimization software of Computer America. You know, I'm kind of glad because the news has been catching up, and we've had little slices of news, but today I think we're going to really catch up and talk about everything on the program. However, we will keep the phone lines open. If you have a comment or a question, now certainly is the best time to give us a call. 347-884-8881. That's 347-884-8881. We'll get you on and it will get you through. Or if you want to, go to ComputerAmerica.com. In the upper right-hand corner of every page there, it just says submit a question. Just click that. It's an actual link, and it'll take you to our question submission page where you can type in a question, click the submit button, and Ben and I will see it immediately and act accordingly upon that, whatever you're typing. The other thing is that you can also watch the Computer America Show. Ben has the technology to display movies, websites, videos, that type of thing, and we certainly will be doing that on today's program. So it will just afford you a better way to interact with the program. The way you do that is go to ComputerAmerica.com. Just go to the show lounge selection. It's on any of the pull-down menus on any page at ComputerAmerica.com, and you will be transported instantly to our live video streaming. You'll be joined to the show already in progress, so you can see what's happening. And again, that's assuming you're joining us Monday through Friday between 3 and 5 p.m. Eastern time. And you will see everything that's going on. That just makes things, as I say, more interactive with the program. So we're going to be doing computer news and technology news. We had Deal Moon on the show yesterday, which was very enlightening. I was doing some shopping, checking to see what they have available on Deal Moon. It's they
had a very wide selection.
Yeah. Also, Chatlight, we've been in touch with them. They're going to reschedule with Isabel. Them. I don't know if it's part of the new year or what goes on, but we certainly we've got these last minute changes and last minute additions. But it's what makes the world go round. You just have to kind of deal with it, and we do here on the program. But as I said, we're going to have lots of computer and technology news to talk about. Anything else happening of interest, Ben? Before we get to news,
Well, I guess it's news, but it's not tech related. In fact, it's the furthest thing from tech related, but it's worth mentioning because it's cultural. I guess is Punxsutawney Phil did his thing this morning.
Oh, did he see his shadow?
He did not. According to reports, he sat there, was hoisted up on high, and blinked rather pedantically at the crowd. So, nope, they declared that by his actions, there will be an early spring.
An early spring? Well, that's a good thing, right?
Yes, but this is all again hinging on the idea that rodents are actually viable sources of weather information.
I had only heard about it wasn't until I saw the movie Groundhog Day where I really got to see how
I think that was like it's weird that one single movie it probably did make it really, really, really widespread. Like it was probably like not even that big of a deal, but then the movie came out and the movie was such a hit because it was so funny that everyone just kind of sat up and took notice. Like I think Arbor Day could use an Arbor Day movie because what Groundhog Day the movie did for the holiday is where it was amazing.
Bill Murray starred in that picture. I won't say that it made his career, because I think his career was well on its way at that point, but certainly
one of his best.
Yeah, one of his best. It was a terrific film. I've watched it numerous times, and it was just a great picture. And a lot of things sort of caught on to the idea. What was the movie just recently with Tom Cruise? It was a science fiction picture.
Days of Futures Past.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah,
but
the one where he kind of relives the same events over and over and over again.
Same day over and over again, and it was. Although it was a lot different, the premise was there were a lot of similarities in it. But I also thought, by the way, that was a very good movie. Most of his movies I really enjoy. There are very few Tom Cruise movies that I say, most of them are very, very good. He's, who's a fan is also Nathan Evans, managing editor of Pop Sarah magazine. We'll go on to say that
I will say, no offense, Tom Cruise, but he does well for a short guy. In a place that you think is so superficial that you really need to be, the ideal physical specimen. Don't get me wrong. Tom Cruise looks like he's ageless. It looks like he hasn't aged a day since he was 23. But, for a short guy, he does really well.
Yeah, exactly. And
like 5'4", it's crazy.
Edge of Tomorrow, by the way, was the name.
Edge of Tomorrow.
Was the movie, and that also had the woman, which was I'm blocking her name, but she was in I first saw her in that other movie with Emily Blunt.
Not a big thing on movies.
Yeah, the Adjustment Bureau was the name of the other picture she was in. That's when I first saw her. But I
feel like we've gotten sidetracked. We were talking about a rodent that can foretell the future here, and I feel like we've strayed too far from this. So let's bring it back.
Okay.
Did you know that there are actually other rodents that tend to do the same thing? They can also predict the weather. There was one in Canada who backed up Punxsutawney Phil's claim. Mm-hmm. And I believe there was one in New Jersey and one in California that actually disagreed. So the board of groundhogs was not unanimous, but
there was a board of groundhogs.
It's well, when you do something as important as Groundhog's Day, you have to have organization and really make sure you get it right, because a lot of people are counting on this.
Okay. Well, anyway, he said the spring is going to be coming early this year, and I'm sure he won't he's not getting any complaints. So he's happy. So I can't get is when he doesn't see a shadow, that means that spring is coming early, and when he does see his shadow, that means there's 6 more weeks of winter. Is that how?
When the shadow is kind of a misnomer kind of deal, but when he tries to get back into his hole or his stump, he knows that winter is not over yet, and he has to go back and stay safe and warm and hibernating until spring is here. So if he acts like he has to get back to what he was doing, spring or winter is still here, 6 more weeks of winter. If he's just kind of standing around doing nothing, then spring is here. He's ready to go do his groundhog things.
All right. Well, thank you for enlightening all of us on groundhog.
I would not be surprised at all if you could find a couple of television, if you still subscribe to television, a couple of television stations that are probably playing Groundhog Day. I heard of one over in Europe. One of the BBC channels is actually playing Groundhog Day on loop.
You mean the movie itself?
Yes.
Oh, the entire movie, or the only?
No,
it's the entire movie.
The whole movie, all day long.
All day long. Okay. Well, that said, is that we have lots of stories to do, and you know how to reach us if you have a comment or question, and I think we will just move forward and start doing our computer and technology news. Today's computer and technology news is brought to you by Slimware Utilities, the official optimization software of Computer America. You can visit them at slimwareutilities.com to clean, speed up, and optimize your Windows system. It's slimwareutilities.com. Head over to their website, check them out. They have a wide suite of utilities. One of my favorites is the one that just makes Windows 10 so much easier to work with. Their privacy tool is one of the more recent versions. Check them out. Download them. You'll be happy that you did, and you'll thank us for it. slimwareutilities.com.
All right. So let us get things started with a story from just going through today's stories, and there were a heck of a lot of them, and a lot of them dealt with automotive and things like that, and other dealt with, of course, future technology. But let's start off with Windows 10. This actually came out about a day or two ago, but it's definitely worth noting. And Windows 10, it's the new kid on the block, and yeah, it was definitely off to a strong start. I don't think anyone can deny that Windows 10, through the free trade-in programs, through the free upgrade paths, and just every new computer coming with Windows 10, I don't think anyone doubted that Windows 10 wasn't going to be a hit.
Yeah.
But the ever popular marker of if an operating system is worth sitting up and noticing is, can it beat the numbers posted by Windows XP? Because XP, for some reason or another, it's been around for 15 years.
Yeah, and it's the human condition. People don't like change, especially when it gets to, so that was the one. If it was any one thing that Windows 10 had to move up against, and that was that people just don't like to change things, especially when things are complicated as Windows XP. The motto that if it ain't broke, don't fix it. That's worked so well for XP because it works extremely well, and
it was a very stable and easy to learn operating system.
Yep. And this was through the likes of Windows 7. Well, Windows 8 and 8.1 I can understand, but Windows 7, which was a very
8.1, just like Windows Vista, had very rocky starts that kind of drove people away from it. But to get to the story here, this is from Macs and PC, and yeah, if you count Windows 8 and 8.1 as separate operating systems, then Windows 10 is in third place. Otherwise, it's second only to Windows 7. Which is still the big man on campus. And here are the numbers. Windows 7 still sitting at a very pretty 54.5%.
Yeah.
of
Impressive.
of PC users, and that is a huge number. I don't doubt it. I mean, Windows 7 was just a very natural progression from Windows
Very stable.
XP.
Very stable.
So,
Word being stable was extremely.
but number two, and this is again, if you don't add together Windows 8 and 8.1, which honestly I think you should. 8.1 was just like Windows XP Service Pack 1 and 2.
Mhm.
I feel like you should add those, but regardless, Windows 10 is sitting at number 2, and just barely edges out Windows XP, which again, Windows XP came out in like 2000 or 2001 or something like that.
Right.
It's ridiculously long in the tooth,
Mhm.
but Windows 10 has taken it over with Windows 8.1. Mac, a distant fifth.
Mhm.
At 3.44% for
Right.
Mac.
Yeah.
Like Apple is such a huge player in the smartphone market, and with their very popular line of MacBooks and laptops and things like that. Sometimes it's hard to remember that even though they pretty much own and created and dominated the smartphone market, Mac as an operating system is still pretty rare.
Mm.
So, anyways, Mac at 3.4 and Windows 8 and Mac OS 10.10 and others being, I'm sure, Linux in there and the many different distributions of Linux.
Yeah.
But yeah, those are the numbers, and Windows 10 looks like it is on track to really push up against Windows 7, because I've actually met a couple people that just in the past week, for some odd reason, I've known 3 different people to upgrade their computers finally to Windows 10 from Windows 7.
Yeah.
And I feel like the number of adoption is going to go up when we see that phase where it's like, this is the last day that you're going to be able to get Windows 10 for free. I think then you're going to get a lot of adoptions as well. Maybe not as much as the first day, but it's definitely going to spur a lot of people, because Windows 10, we've said here on the show that it is a very nice operating system.
Yeah. You have it on your computer. You run a Windows system and you're using Windows 10, and you
Yep.
like it.
Yeah, it's very easy. It's very easy to understand if you're coming from Windows 7.
Yeah. When does the expiration date? When they close it down?
Let's see. They launched in, I want to say June. I'm sorry, July 31st or July 30th, I think, was the first
Mhm.
day that they launched it,
Right.
and they said for the first year, so end of July.
All right. So you still have a little time left.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
a couple more months.
Couple more months.
Couple more months to bury your head in the sand and say, I don't feel like doing it right now, and you'll be okay.
Yeah, but give yourself a little week. Don't wait to the last minute. I know a lot of you are going to, but just give yourself a couple of days, so you have a little leeway there, or even install it on another machine, or make it its own partition or something. You really should get. You should get it if you have another machine. Put your Windows 7 onto a laptop and put Windows 10 on your desktop or something along this line. Don't wait till the last day.
Yeah, but one other number that we should point out is, how does this rate of growth compare to the other versions? After 6 months in the market, Windows 8 was sitting at about 5%, and 6 months is how long Windows 10 has been sitting on the market. So 5% for Windows 8, while Windows 7 was about 13.5% at about 6 months. So, Windows 10, definitely the fastest adopted operating system to be released by Microsoft. But I mean, I guess that's a fair number, because there are more and more computers nowadays than there were back then. But percentage of market wise, Windows 10 is the fastest adopted operating system. So good on Microsoft.
Yeah, exactly. Well, Windows 7 was the start, as you mentioned, was 13.5%, which was just behind the 13.65% Windows 10 now finds itself to be at.
Right. So Windows 10 barely beat it.
Barely. But given all these numbers, I'll still think that that's speaking well of Windows 10. I think that eventually people can understand that, eventually it's.
But the true question is not when is Windows 7 going to, upgrade to Windows 10, or when is Windows XP? It's when are all those pesky Mac users going to upgrade to Windows 10?
Well, that we might have a longer wait for, because they do have a viable.
I think they should just offer a better upgrade path.
Yeah,
exactly. I think it's rather confusing right now.
Okay, Ben and I are doing computer and technology news, brought to you by Slimware Utilities. This next story comes from Tech Hive. It piqued my interest. One of the things, I don't know if they were out at CES, but the Dish Hopper is the DVR that is provided by the Dish network, satellite network, which is the only other major competitor to DirecTV, which is now owned by AT&T. Evidently, this new DVR that Dish will make available, called the Dish Hopper 3.
They debuted that at CES.
Yeah, this is an impressive little device. Basically, it's catering to TV enthusiasts. It offers, get this, split screen 4K viewing. If 4K viewing was enough, now you can split the screen so you can watch two 4K programs at the same time. And this DVR has 16 channels. That means
that's 16 tuners.
Yeah, 16 channel DVR, 16 tuners. Okay, but basically what that means is that you can record up to 16 different channels simultaneously, which is way beyond the highest capacity DVR that's being offered today from any cable company or any satellite.
For anyone out there who's ever ran into the problem where you may be recording one or two things and then someone else is watching a tuner, and then you feel like watching something else and it says, sorry, too many active feeds are going on, please cancel or interrupt a television. That means you only have 3, 4, 5 different tuners with any other cable provider, and Dish says, we can do 16.
Well, either it'll tell you that, or it'll say you have to watch one of the recorded shows. It'll allow you to, if all, let's say your limit is 3 or 4, and they're all being used, and then you come in as the 5th and want to watch live TV, you can't. But you can watch a recorded show, but that's it. Well, as Ben said, that's really not going to happen anymore. With 16 tuners available, 16 channels in this DVR, there's really no way that you're going to max yourself out. I don't think there's any particular point in time where you have to record 16 shows at the same time. So on top of that, not only does it have 4K viewing, but it offers split screen 4K viewing. So this article, again, according to Jared Newman, Dish Network is ready to save its subscribers from scheduling conflicts with the new Hopper 3 DVR, which supports up to 16 recordings at once. Now, after showing off it off at CES, Dish is now offering the Hopper 3 to qualified customers at no upfront cost, though a $15 per month fee through a $15 per month fee for the whole home DVR applies, which is completely reasonable. I mean, compared to what, let's say, DirecTV charges, that's extremely reasonable. Okay. So, as I mentioned, the Hopper 3 has 16 tuners that can support video on up to 7 TVs at the same time through wired or wireless Joey companion boxes. The little boxes also, they're very, very small. They're comparable to the DVR. Everything is really small, but the little Joey, DirecTV now has the same thing where you have these either wireless or wired devices, so you don't need DVRs at every point, but you can still watch everything. And this makes the wiring a lot easier. But they have the same thing.
Luckily, you really don't need to tear your walls apart just to install cable anymore.
No, you don't, really. Each of these little Joey boxes costs an additional $7 per month, including a new 4K Joey that's also launching now. So if you want to watch 4K, they have a 4K version. Again, $7 a month for each one of these devices, completely competitive and reasonable compared to what like DirecTV charges. Speaking of 4K, though, this is something though. The new Hopper also has one killer feature just for 4K TV owners. Okay. It has what's known as a sports bar mode. Users can watch four 1080p channels at once in split screen mode, or 6 channels at once in 720p.
And see that right there is a feature of, again, 4K television and the very specific resolution, because 4K again is 4 times the resolution of a standard 1080p. So the split screen actually works out very, very well.
Yes, it does. Now, this feature, along with 4K Netflix streaming in the coming weeks and a selection of 4K movies on demand, should help compensate for Dish's lack of TV channels in the higher resolution format. That's the one thing. Dish doesn't have as many 4K movies on demand as compared to, let's say, DirecTV or Netflix. But, you know, certainly part of it gets made up by this device. And, of course, content will eventually get here as time goes on. But it's not that they say they don't have an impressive one. They're just not quite as competitive with the other services yet. I hope that DirecTV is listening to this, and I'm sure they are, because they need to come out with something that's comparable to this. I know the DirecTV top of the line Genie, that's what they call their Genie box, which offers whole home everything. 6. You have 6 tuners. You can have up to 6 programs recording simultaneously.
And I mean, you know, go tell someone back in the year 2000 that you can watch 6 television channels at once, and they'll say, "Oh my God, why would you ever need to watch 6 television channels at once?"
Yeah.
But I think in today's day and age, where you know, we talked about this yesterday, how DVR and set-top boxes are trying to close the gap between live television and the dream of a Netflix style a la carte, whenever you want it, whatever you want. 16 tuners, I think, gives you more control over that you can record, you know, 15 different things, watch one thing, and then go back at your leisure and pull up any of those 15 other things that you just recorded.
This is a perfect example of how technological. I mean, when the Genie came out in 2000 or what have you, I mean, it was, as you said, it was, oh my gosh, you know, we'll never use that much. That's wonderful. But you know, today, I mean, I was just using. We have Uverse, and Uverse, I think, only allows 4, up to 4. And boy, we with myself, my wife, and Ben, that gets used up really quickly. So,
in my defense, I really don't record anything.
Actually, it's just a selection of stations my wife records, and we have more as we see. Oh, the new program, we're getting more and more conflicts. So and then it says, oh, you have to choose one or the other, and then you kind of bite your nails as to which one you want, which you don't.
But then also, you know, just folks, just to give everyone out there a heads up, Greg does something that causes this. It's
what is that?
His fault too.
What do I do?
He records television channels, television shows, and he does 1 minute before and 1 minute after.
Yeah, because if
so you create false conflicts with that 1 minute overlap.
Yeah, I'm stopping to do that because they're finally compensating for that in the grids. Because you're right, you're watching a show in the last 1 minute of the end of the show, you don't get it because the DVR stops recording, and so you don't know what happened in the last minute. That's extremely frustrating. But we are making changes to that. They're becoming more accurate. You're seeing that happen. That's really
luckily
how they used to do it.
Luckily, the cable provider, the grid isn't as inflexible as it used to be. It used to be 30-minute blocks, and it is what it is. But lately, I've noticed that they're starting to do, you know, if it runs, 3 minutes before, they'll change it to 12:26, p.m. All the way up to 3:23 p.m. Like they're more flexible instead of just the 30-minute blocks.
And that's because a lot of subscribers screaming, losing their program, and so they've become much more aware of it, and so that they're realizing that they can't be right to the second. So they do allow a little time, or they at least monitor the show. The other killer thing is that when football comes on, and you're watching a show, and then the football inevitably runs overtime, and then all the programming follows a half hour later. I know on DirecTV now it'll actually come up and say, that there's a good chance that this program might run over. Would you like to tack an additional 30 minutes on? And of course you say yes.
Well, there's this thing called the Super Bowl coming up, so that's only going to get worse.
Yeah, exactly. Well, at least the technologists behind these products are aware of these conflicts and are making adjustments.
And they're definitely getting better. To go back to the story, this dish hopper also allows for an external hard drive via USB 3.0.
Yeah.
So a lot of cable companies, they really hate it when you have external devices. They really don't let you integrate anything like a NAS, a network attached storage device. But Hopper, if you need more storage, because 16 TV tuners, you're probably going to be recording quite a bit.
Yeah.
They can help you out with a couple terabyte hard drives.
Yeah, although the Hopper does come with a 2 terabyte internal hard drive for up to 500 hours of high definition videos. But and initially it sounds like a lot, but it's with today's recording, you can burn through that pretty darn quickly, and at least they offer an option to add an external hard drive. It also, by the way, supports 60 frames per second. The Hopper does, and 10-bit color for 4K viewing, and it's compatible with HDR10 streams for anyone who's planning to buy an HDR TV this year. Okay. So, by the way, we got more stories coming up, and there's a little bit more at the end of this that will come back, but we're at the bottom of the hour break. You're listening to the Computer America Show. Ben and I are doing computer and technology news, brought to you by Slimware Utilities, the official optimization software of Computer America. We've got another news tips bulletin review from Marty Winston that's coming up as well. And then we will be right back. You're listening to the Computer America Show. Stay with us.
Sometimes disaster strikes. Data can be lost due to many different reasons. Accidental reformatting, power spikes, virus attacks. Zero Assumption Recovery provides a suite of highly effective and thorough data recovery software for Windows operating systems. ZA is suitable for home users and small businesses who need a powerful data recovery solution for Windows and Linux file systems.
Go to z-a-recovery.com.
Sometimes disaster strikes. Data can be lost due to many different reasons. Accidental reformatting, power spikes, virus attacks. Zero Assumption Recovery provides a suite of highly effective and thorough data recovery software for Windows operating systems. ZA is suitable for home users and small businesses who need a powerful data recovery solution for Windows and Linux file systems.
Go to z-a-recovery.com.
Hi, this is Craig Crossman, host of the Computer America Show. You have important meetings to schedule. Your company's getting ready for its IPO, and you're in charge of the PTA fundraiser this month. So how do you coordinate everyone to be available at the same time? Are you still using emails, phone calls, even text messages to schedule meetings with a group of people? How's that working out for you? Not so great, huh? It's a fact that every day, millions of people suffer from scheduling headaches. Well, with Doodle, scheduling meetings with a group of people is quick and easy. With Doodle, you can easily propose available times to each member. Each one checks off the times that they're available, and then you simply pick the time that works best for the group, all in an easy-to-read display that integrates with your existing calendar. Nothing could be more simple. Give Doodle a try for free, and like millions of Doodle users, you'll truly see how easy it is to find the perfect date and time for all your meetings. That's www.doodle.com.
So what do I order? An old-fashioned, only it turns out she was.
Hi, Marty Winston with a News Tips Bulletin Review for Computer America. This time, Owlet Baby Care. Yes, here's one for parents with infants. Owlet is a 1-foot wearable sock for wee ones with a rechargeable electronic sensor that communicates through a small disc-shaped pod to let an iPhone app report on the baby's heart rate and oxygen reading. The pod also offers its own form of monitoring through the color of its ring light. It comes with 3 sizes of sock, so it grows as your baby grows, and a larger 4th size is available on request. Bottom line, while it may be impossible to advise new parents not to worry, Owlet Baby Care can offer 2 fewer things to worry about. Marty Winston with a News Tips Bulletin Review for Computer America.
Welcome back to the Computer America Show. It is 33 minutes past the hour. And yeah, we're doing computer and technology news for both hours. Just having a nice, nice, slow, easy day. If you notice the little crawler that we have up on the video portion, it says recess. Open phone lines, of course. And we're just going to do news stories that we find interesting and relevant, of course. And we were just before we move on to the next story. We were just finishing up this one about the Hopper from Dish and the DVR3 the Hopper 3 that they have.
Yeah, exactly. And I just wanted to kind of summarize, as I did in the article, basically as to why this matters, and beyond the obvious thing. Tech Hive editor wrote last month that TV providers can either compete with cord cutting and streaming video on price, or they can cater to serious TV buffs with more features, and that's what Dish is doing, taking the latter route with the new Hopper, whose 16 tuners edge out cable and telco DVRs, such as Comcast X1, which has 5 tuners, Verizon's Fios Quantum, which has 12 tuners, DirecTV has 6 tuners, AT&T Uverse has 4 tuners, so you can see it. Now, while the hefty hardware rental fees won't appeal to people who are wearing off expensive pay TV packages, they could make Dish harder to quit for existing subscribers. I would say that as a Uverse or even a DirecTV subscriber, I'm almost tempted to switch over to Dish because of all these additional features, but I won't. But because I'm confident that that these competing companies will come up with something that's close to or comparable with over time. And then, of course, over time, who knows what's going to happen? As the playing field of television continues to change with the times, and everybody's caught right in the middle of it, really, which is sort of a good place to be, because you can see how things adapt, and with really remarkable alternative products coming out, like with Apple TV and the Roku and all these other devices that are pushing streaming, and of course with Netflix and Hulu and all these other services, there are so many more choices to be made now. It's no longer, I've been back with the 3 networks and PBS. I was watching the X-Men the other day, and he was bragging, "Oh, we have 3 networks and PBS," and the 3 networks. Huh? Yeah, and PBS. So it's come a long way, and evidently it's got a lot further to go. And but as long as they offer viable choices, I think that the people who are going to win in the end are the consumers.
Viable choices, but again, this is I feel like this is going to really appeal to the folks who really enjoy television. Like this is, if you enjoy television, this was made for you.
Yes, it is.
But something like this, I don't think is going to be a cord cutter returning back to cable, because it really doesn't solve the problem of it needs to be cheaper and it needs to be more accessible. And while this is great, if you enjoy television and you need to watch more things on television, good for you. This is going to be great. But I think the big problem with the industry is that cord cutters are a real thing. So, again, I saw this being debuted live at CES. It was a lot of fun. I saw the CEO of the company out there on stage, talking about it, and he seemed really excited. And Dish at least is trying something. Like they're not just new, but they're trying something. It just seems like more of everything, but in its own little way. It's definitely innovative.
Was it SRO at that?
Yeah.
And but you were able to get in, which was good. And it's going to be ready. It's coming out this month, I believe.
Yep.
Available, exactly.
I believe they said first quarter.
First quarter, and again, you have you can choose between the wired or the wireless companion box.
I got a nice gentleman's card here, and they should be on the show here in not too long.
Good, I'm looking forward to that. Got a lot of questions.
Right. So yeah, it's here it is. Dish. See, if you're watching the video portion, got Dish right here. Yep.
Excellent.
Gonna have them on.
Excellent. Okay. You know, as I said, Ben's going out to the Consumer Electronics Show is really paying off because for you, our listeners, we have so many guests planned in the months ahead, all coming from the Consumer Electronics Show. So definitely, we're looking forward to all these companies coming on the program.
Absolutely. So. But this next story is people I did not meet at CES, unfortunately, because I really like these people.
Yeah, I watched the video, by the way.
Excuse me?
I watched the video.
Yes, the video is very entertaining as well.
Extremely entertaining.
Yeah, so this is from Popular Science, but it's been making the rounds across the web. You've probably heard of it yourself. Quantum chess is coming to the real world. And this is by Sophie Bushwick, and again, Popular Science. And more than 1.5 million people have watched Paul Rudd challenge Stephen Hawking in the game of quantum chess. And although Anyone Can Quantum video is fictional, the game is not. It's the brainchild of University of Southern California graduate Chris Cantwell, and he's looking for funding to bring it to life. And by the way, 1.5 billion people, 1.5 million people, honestly, that number should go way, way up because it's a very, very funny video.
Yeah, it's funny because you're watching it, and his first introduction to Stephen Hawking, they show Stephen Hawking, and they kind of pan around to what he's doing at the moment, but just before Paul contacts him, and he's watching a silly cat video.
Right.
You know, one of the best minds in the world, and he's watching a cat video.
Stephen Hawking has always had a very good sense of humor. He's a recurring character on a lot of cartoon shows. Like even though, let's face it, he doesn't technically have to voice himself. He's made like numerous appearances on The Big Bang Theory. He does his own voice work for a lot of cartoon shows like American Dad. You know, by Seth MacFarlane. Seth MacFarlane. You know, he really enjoys his notoriety, and so I can see why he would definitely, you know, take an active role in this. And Paul Rudd, I mean, he has a master's degree in something or something from some college. He's a very, very smart guy, but he usually plays not so smart guys in movies. You know, very, very underrated actor, or, you know, just perfectly rated because he's a very, very good actor. Anyways, the video, very, very funny. Go check that out. But the game behind it is what's all the rage to us.
He had to study a little bit in preparation for the video, with obviously, you understand, you know, like entanglement and everything. But once he did extremely well. So yeah, so Cantwell, who again is the designer of Quantum Chess, Cantwell said that he's been working on a fun, playable version of Quantum Chess since March 2014, and his work eventually came to the attention of Caltech professor Spiros Mikalakis. There we go. who helped Cantwell continue to develop the game until it was simple enough for an actor to master. Ouch. you know those airhead actors, they can't learn anything. But so Caltech ended up using Quantum Chess as a showpiece of Anyone Can Quantum, making it a form of publicity for the university's Quantum Summit. Now, with some financial help, Cantwell hopes to create a commercial version that anyone can play. And so he has a Kickstarter that will start on February 15th. And after the viral success of Anyone Can Quantum, which is again the video with Paul Rudd and Stephen Hawking, he has bumped the Kickstarter up to start today. So yeah, working with a couple of artists, Cantwell is updating the look of his quantum chessboard and pieces from a simple version shown in the video, which are very, you know, chess-like little pictographs, to something a little bit more modern. And so he's told Gizmodo that he'd like to add an AI player that could help teach and compete with humans, along with a ranking system. The game will first be available on Mac and PC, and may later be expanded to a mobile version. So, if you're impatient to start playing, you can kill time by watching Paul Rudd and Stephen Hawking play the prototype version. And yeah, it's a very, very neat idea. Because I'm saying, you know, because if you can't wait for chess, they do have a quantum tic-tac-toe, which is available. You know, I mean, I'm really good at tic-tac-toe. You can't, if you could.
Tic-tac-toe is a pretty easy it's a pretty easy thing to
You
master.
can only tie me. You can never win. I can, you can't.
Because it's pretty simple.
Yeah, it's pretty. But with quantum tic-tac-toe, that's gets a little bit more complex. You're right. I mean, they're starting to kickstart a project for this, and if you're interested, watch the video and make a contribution to it. Help it come out even more quickly. But you're a really good chess player, Ben. I mean, you were on the chess team at your school. I mean, you played.
Yeah, the chess team was fun until the professor or at least the teacher that was in charge of it kind of skipped town with all the money for the program. So
Yeah, but that wasn't anybody else. Not your fault or anybody.
No, but it kind of killed the whole club. So.
Yeah. But I remember your mom taking you to the was it Books A Million store where they would have the local chess, and they would say, "Would you play chess with my little boy?" And
she didn't have to introduce us. We just sat there. We held our own.
And then
you have to have our mom introduce us.
You held your own. You did more than hold your own. You did extremely well. So
chess is a very fun game, and it's always fun to see a different take on it. Was never a fan of 3D chess, which is I think the second most popular form of chess. Where you get the 3 or 4 different platforms.
Wasn't that made popular with the Star Trek series though? That's where it came about when people.
Yeah, it wasn't Star Trek, but I mean the only way I knew about it was the fact that a gentleman would, the only chess he would play, like he would sit there among dozens of other chess players, and he'd be the only one with the 3D chessboard, and everyone would be like, "You want to play normal chess?" And he's like, "Nope, not at all. Come play 3D chess." It's like, oh.
He wanted to be different than everybody else, and that was a way to do it. Introducing.
I guess.
But 3D chess really was started out in the Star Trek TV series, and then there really wasn't any rules to it. It was just to it was made up. But evidently, enthusiasts of the show actually. Amongst those enthusiasts, there actually was a movement to actually create a 3D chess.
I met the most enthusiastic enthusiast then because he really liked 3D chess.
Yeah, there you go. All right. So anyway, quantum chess coming to a
Kickstarter near you today.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, now we've covered this story before. And did a follow-up, and now and I knew it was going to continue to escalate, and I want to keep all of our listeners in touch with this. And this has to do with Netflix and VPNs, and the premise is that Netflix, because of certain contractual agreements that they have with the different programs. They can only show certain programs in different geographical locations on the planet, and and so people were getting around that by launching a VPN, which basically would disguise where they were located, so they could watch Netflix in Australia, and they could watch it in the U.S., or more likely, people in Australia could watch the U.S. version of Netflix because they get more programs, that type of thing. Well, Netflix finally said, okay, well, we have to stop this. So they started a program to block VPNs from accessing Netflix. And of course, the moment that happened, the VPN providers started the push the seesaw the other way. It says, oh, you can't do that. We're going to work on the technology so you can't block us. And so I said, here we go. Lock and key, back and forth. This is where this is. And of course, we were correct in predicting this. And now, according to this story by Chris Smith, just came out today, the headline reads, Netflix has no chance of winning the battle against VPN pirates. Okay. So he goes on to say, if you're paying for Netflix in your local market, but use a VPN service to access Netflix content from a different country, namely the US, well, you're violating Netflix's rules, and you're considered by many to be a pirate. Says you're probably you're probably paying a monthly or annual fee for your VPN access, but even if you're not downloading any illegal content using torrent services, and your only quote unquote crime is accessing the Netflix content not available in your region, that still makes you a pirate.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Netflix finally put its foot down. We reported this and took action against VPN offenders a few weeks ago. But Netflix is fighting a battle that likely can't be won. This again, according to Chris Smith from BGR. Because in fact, Netflix probably shouldn't even want to win this war. Okay. Now, he says Netflix does have to look and play the part. Okay. It needs to show its content partners that it's at least trying to crack down on VPN use. So far, Netflix has only sent out warnings to VPN users. Just a warning. But VPN providers have quickly countered with moves of their own, meant to prevent Netflix from detecting the VPN traffic. It's a war, technology war right now. You know, you can do this, you can't do that. You know, technologically, why? Now, we're not talking ethics here at this point. We're just talking about, can you do it technologically wise? Now, as Forbes pointed out a few days ago, several VPN providers are working on or have already found ways to stop Netflix's attempt to thwart VPN users. Australian VPN company Uflix, remember them? We talked about them. They found a fix for the problem. Recently, the Sydney Morning Herald also responded that Uflix is one of the companies that broke Netflix's ban on VPNs. So if you subscribe, you're in Australia and you subscribe to Uflix, guess what? You have access again to Netflix content. Not through an ethical, it's just through a technological advance that Uflix found. Now, apparently, using a private VPN IP address rather than a public one that's shared by many people is enough to avoid detection. Again, we're getting into some of the technology here. Both TorGuard and PureVPN offers such features. Again, a private VPN IP address. Okay? Furthermore, TorGuard can keep switching to new IP addresses constantly in order to stay ahead of Netflix. It's a real juggling game. You know, they find this, okay, well, you can't use it. Let's use a different one. And then it starts all over again. So circumventing these blocks evidently is legal in Australia. Okay. And a consumer group
you know, to do, of course, the cliche joke of Australia is full of criminals. What?
No. Circumventing these blocks is legal in Australia, and a consumer group believes that Netflix should let its 2.7 million customers in Australia access the U.S. catalog, despite the fact that the associated content is not licensed outside of America. Okay. And there's a quote here. They say, "We know that Netflix is successful in Australia because of its U.S. content. It took advantage of that to build an Australian subscriber base of 340,000 people before launching here officially." This was again according to the Choice Group. So they're saying, okay, so it was like a bait and switch. So you offer all this wonderful content, you get 340,000 subscribers coming to you because of this, and now you're saying, okay.
Well, not bait and switch, more like we're going to turn a blind eye to this, look at all the content you can get.
And then,
but at the end of the day, it was still illegal.
Yeah, we're going to cut you off. Well,
like they didn't outright ban it because as we're seeing now, that's impossible. I think Netflix knew that.
Well,
but you know,
I'm quoting what Choice Group said. They said it's unfair of Netflix to be baiting and switching consumers like this. It is a bait and switch.
I really don't think it is.
Well, according to the Choice Group, that's what they're calling it.
Well, according to me, I don't think it is.
Okay, which is fine.
And I trust me. I trust me explicitly.
Okay. So before we go on the article, you're thinking that that Netflix did the right thing, that offering all the U.S. content to Australians and say, okay, now we have 340,000. You guess what? You can't get the U.S. content anymore. You think that's okay?
They said before they launched legitimately, or before they officially launched. So before that, they weren't technically in Australia. They just simply had they had a service called Netflix, and people were accessing it through a VPN from Australia. They it's not like they were advertising on television in Australia. It's just that Australians knew how to get American television content.
Netflix knew. Netflix.
Well,
knew.
of course they knew from the traffic sites, but even then, they weren't cracking down on it.
Yeah.
And legally, they kind of have to. They kind of have to crack down on it.
Now, yeah, exactly.
I mean, no, before.
But what they should have done.
But they could claim plausible deniability.
Aha. The good old plausible deniability card. Okay.
Yep.
Okay. Now, the article goes on and says the group is also, that's the Choice Group, okay, consumer monitoring group in Australia, is also looking to offer Australians ways of evading the geo-block, which will be available in a guide for users. Anyone can help out by providing information at a link in the story about their Netflix over VPN experience. They're looking for more information. But ultimately, as I said, this is a cat and mouse game that Netflix will likely lose. I didn't say they'll likely lose. I just said it was a cat and mouse game. But now he's saying that Netflix is likely to lose this cat and mouse game, as VPN companies will almost surely find ways to fool Netflix's servers in the future. Now, Netflix.
Don't call them Shirley.
Yes, and I wouldn't call them. Netflix could try to actually ban users. That's really, but that would mean refusing money from paying subscribers, and I don't believe Netflix is going to want to do that voluntarily. You know, so there it is. I mean, that's and I predict it's still going to go on. We're going to cover this story, and we're going to continue to follow through. I'm curious what our listeners might think about something like this, whether it's who's in the right and who's in the wrong.
Well, there's two ways to look at it. There's the legal perspective, in which case Netflix is totally in the right, and the people who are trying to get the service are completely wrong. And then there's the consumer perspective that says, I want, American television. I want my television shows. I want this. I want that. And there is no legal way to get this, for a reasonable cost. And therefore, I have to get a VPN and illegally watch Netflix. So there's a consumer need, but there's not a service to fill the gap, and that's the problem that they're having to deal with.
And it's not. Do you think they're going to have law enforcement break down the doors of the VPN companies and saying, "Hey, you're providing this, you need to shut it down"?
It seems ridiculous, but I mean, isn't that exactly what happened to Kim.com and his file sharing site, where he did not upload anything himself. He didn't do anything himself. But at the end of the day, they raided his home in New Zealand, and they took down his servers. And we had Meg on the show. They had to completely become a completely new company. They essentially tore his whole business down to the studs just because he had a service that other people were using illegally.
But Kim.com is not Netflix. Okay. They're not going to, you're talking about one guy. Netflix is a multi-billion-dollar corporation. You're not going to be kicking down anybody's doors. They're going to have suites.
I don't know the exact cost of Mega.com, but it wasn't chump change. It was not chump change.
Yes, but it was not a Netflix, which is a huge company with.
But it's not a Netflix in that Netflix is actually trying to mitigate the damage. They're trying to say, hey, look, we're going after the quote unquote illegal users.
Well, as I'm saying that may or may not happen. I mean, that to me, it looks like it's almost like they're doing a kabuki dance. They're saying, oh, we're going to go after them, but are they really? How hard are they trying? And how do you measure how hard they're trying? I mean, this is a can of worms that someone's opened, and it's not going to have a simple fix, if at all. That's I think Netflix will say, hey, we're doing the best we can, and the people on the other side go, no, you're not doing the best you can, and as this reporter says, he doesn't think Netflix is going to be able to win something like this.
And again, sometimes. We see this with trademark and patenting and all that kind of stuff, where the cable companies, let's say you put a clip of the show up on YouTube, they really don't care that you have a 10-second clip of their show. But legally, it's their content, and if they don't defend their trademarks and their copyrights, then they forfeit those trademarks and copyrights. So they have to do legally what they have to do. Netflix is the same way. They don't have licenses, so they have to pursue things like this.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's just legally what they have to do.
Well, in this case, I think it's all legally what they have to do. I don't think there's no other.
Netflix has shown before that they really don't care how people get Netflix as long as they subscribe. Let them watch Netflix anytime, anywhere. But it's not that simple.
Yeah. Well, the people, obviously the people whom they're licensing the content from and not making it that simple. Yet at the same time, the people who are licensing that content don't want to pull that content from Netflix because they're still making a heck of a lot of money. Why do they want to pull? They're not going to pull that content from Netflix just because some people overseas might be watching it. As I said, it's
said that they could be making more money if they licensed it through Australia and then they also licensed it through Germany, blah, blah, blah.
But they stand to lose. They stand to lose also a lot of money.
But they could be making more money.
Yeah, maybe.
This
Where do
is
you draw the line. Where do you draw the line? I mean, it's they're
hopefully somewhere where the consumer says, "All right, that's fair."
Well, I don't know if they're going to be able to find that point because it's so a lot of this is really black and white. There are some gray areas. Hey, listen, we're at the top of the hour. We're going to pause. We got another hour of computer technology news brought to you by Slimware Utilities coming up. You're listening to the Computer America Show. Ben and I will be right back in a moment. Please don't go anywhere. Lots of other great stories coming at you. Please stay with us. This is Computer America.
Broadcasting live. It's the only national radio talk show on computers to air every weeknight. Computer America. Hosted by national columnist Craig Crossman. The first hour's behind us, but there's still more of tech news, tech talk, and your phone calls. We're being beamed nationwide at ComputerAmerica.com. You got computer problems? Bring them on. You're listening to Computer America. Computers run the world, and we run computers. Call us or send us an email to live@computeramerica.com.
Hello and welcome into hour 2 of the nation's longest running, nationally syndicated radio talk show on computers. This is the Computer America Show, and I'm your host, Craig Crossman.
And I'm your co-host, Ben.
And we continue doing our computer and technology news. It's brought to you by Slimware Utilities. They are the official optimization software of Computer America. Some really good stories today, and I'm glad we have both hours. Initially, we had Simply Everywhere scheduled to be on the show talking about their Ditto product, Simple Matters. They will be returning to the show at a later date to talk about that device. So in the meantime, we have we're doing both hours computer technology news. We needed the extra hour to catch up because there's so many stories that we're getting to. And again, we're sort of winding up this last one, which is Netflix and their battle against VPN companies and pirates. And according to Chris Smith at BGR, he's saying that Netflix has no chance of winning this battle against VPN pirates. And
at some level, I feel this is the same fight that the movie, film, television industry has been fighting with file sharing sites. It's not a one-to-one comparison, but at the same time, these companies know that or at least they hope that if they can reduce the amount of people illegally downloading their television shows and blah 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 and whatnot, that at the end of the day, those people are going to buy it straight from them. They're going to buy the DVD box set. They're going to buy this, buy that.
Mm-hmm.
That might not be true because I watch tons of stuff on Netflix that I would never purchase a DVD box set from, but they are losing that source of revenue if they don't. So it's the same kind of deal.
Well, yeah. There are a lot of similarities, no question about it. I mean, there are a lot of movies that I want to see, but I don't. To me, it's not worth going to the movie theater, and plunking down $8 or $10 or $12 to see the movie. There are obviously exceptions. There are movies that I do want to see as soon as they come out, but not as many as they used to be. But there's still movies where I want to go and see them. But but the fact that I can see them on Netflix or download them on iTunes, that type of thing, I would certainly do that and have done that in the past. And I know you subscribe and I subscribe to Netflix. I recently just upgraded the subscriptions for the 4K subscription, so I can watch 4K because we just got a 4K TV in the house. So these things are certainly considerations that are a sign of the times. I mean, because everything is changing. We're saying TV is changing, but everything is changing. Even the movies that you go to see in the movie theaters, a lot of this is changing. And this is just another, I won't say side road. It's just yet another path, another road that has its own set of issues that have to be dealt with. And no one.
I guess this is new territory, but Netflix has come a long way from just being the DVD and the envelope kind of deal, and they purchased the DVDs, so they have the right to rent out their DVDs however they felt like they wanted to. Now that anyone can watch anything because hey, it's streamed. It's not like you have to wait until someone else has finished streaming Family Guy for you to watch it. Netflix has definitely come a long way, and we can see the popularity as Netflix increases viewership year over year. I mean, they have the U.S. market almost entirely tapped. That's why they're trying to get these deals and licensing, in Australia, in Europe, in China, and places overseas. You can see why they're trying to increase their revenue because, hey, they're increasing customer base year over year by so much, whereas the cable industry, who is fighting against this and making them throw up these walls, for people using VPNs outside the country, they're losing subscribers year over year. So,
yeah, they definitely are. But oh, by the way, just as a side thing, I downloaded that Netflix Super Browse that we did a story on the other day, and it does exactly what it says it does. You can actually reveal hidden categories in Netflix, and for those of you who don't know that, it's a download. They have it available, I think, for Firefox and I think for Chrome. They have it currently. So if you when you go to Netflix, you'll see a whole new selection of categories that you probably weren't aware that they had. And so they've.
Did you figure out any new favorite categories?
Yeah, there was a couple that
any that come to mind.
Not the top of my head. I think there was Asian sci-fi or something. It looked really good. So
yeah, that would cover stuff like Wuchi and stuff like that.
Yeah, exactly. Some things I had never heard before, and they looked very interesting. So, but without the Super Browse, I never would have a plug-in. I wouldn't have known that they were there. But
although Asian sci-fi, that Transformers are probably fitting there because China kind of funded the latest Transformers movie.
Yeah, I hadn't noticed if the Transformers was in there or not. I can always certainly go and look.
I'm just saying that their tastes aren't too dissimilar from what Americans like.
Yeah, and there's a lot of sci-fi in there that's really bad. I'm sorry, there's just some.
No doubt.
Yeah, there's some really, but I did find a couple of gems. There were a couple of sci-fi movies that I had not seen before. I watched them, and they were very good. You could tell they were low budget, but you could see that a lot of thought went into the storyline, and it was they were quite good. Obviously didn't have all the CGI and special effects.
Most of those movies have a campy B movie feel to them, but yeah.
But a lot of them are very good. The one that comes to mind was the guy who was working on building a teleportation device. And no, this is not like The Fly, the movie. No, he was a professor in quantum physics, and he was working on a.
It sounds like The Fly.
Yeah, and his yard and everything, and then he turns out that he had borrowed the money because he needed the money from a loan shark because the banks wouldn't finance him, and so.
Then the Yakuza come. I hear you.
Yeah, no, the loan shark baddies come to give him a hard time, but it turns out that it's. I won't give any spoilers to say that his teleportation device didn't turn out to be something completely different that no one suspects. And in the very end, you find out, and it makes perfect sense. And it was a well done. I think it's called Love and Teleportation. So if you go to Netflix, check it out. Love and Teleportation. It's actually
right.
It's a very good movie. But getting back to this, finalizing this Netflix thing.
No. I think we've beaten that one to death.
Okay. All right. Well, well, let me just ask you this, Ben. Who are you rooting for? Are you rooting for the VPN companies or for Netflix?
I can I always talk about The Dream. The Dream Netflix has a lot of things going for it. And I think from the consumer side, everyone wants any content that they could possibly want at an affordable price, and it's easy to view. In places like Australia and places like in Europe that sometimes get release dates that are months after the American market lands, or content that is just never coming to these markets. They just want that content, and they're willing to pay for it. It's just you have to make it easy, and it doesn't get easier than Netflix. So I think Netflix does a really good job of bringing content that people want in a very affordable and easy to use package. But I can totally see why the content creators want to, be the first one to sign the licensing deals, get the money, get paid for what they've created, get their returns on their investment of creating a quality content show. If you pirate it, I mean, the content creators don't win in that scenario, and they should win. If they're creating good stuff, then they should be rewarded for that. I'm kind of on the side of the content creators, and kind of on the side of Netflix should do more to reduce VPN viewing of Netflix. But I can see why I can see why consumers are tired of waiting and waiting and waiting with no viable option other than stealing or spoofing their IP address to make it look like they're from somewhere else to get the content that they want.
I wonder how the VPN companies advertise their service. Can't get what you want on Netflix.
We had one on the show.
Yeah. But it's the playing field has changed a lot since we need to get one of them back on. Say because and hear how things are from their perspective too. But yeah, because
I think one of the bigger fights that we had when we did have one on the show was that people immediately associate, oh, what are you trying to hide? What are you trying to hide? What are you doing? Why don't you want people to see what you're doing? And we can see nowadays that there are a lot of legitimate reasons to use a VPN, and there's just the reason of I want to be safer when I browse the internet. I use a VPN.
Yeah. And speaking of being safe on the internet, this next story you're going to do talks about internet and safety and something very bad.
Kinda.
Yeah.
This one is unfortunate, and this is something that we have covered on the show before, and it's the American pastime swatting. So, a politician rallying against swatting falls victim herself to swatting.
Now, swatting is basically just defined as when someone anonymously calls the police, the SWAT team, and says that in such and such address, some people are being held hostage, and you need to.
It can range from any number of things. Potential terror attacks, bomb threats, hostage situation. Something that would be head and shoulders above a normal police welfare check.
Exactly, and then the SWAT team goes to this household, and people are terrified when SWAT breaks in their front door, and they're all doing it for the laugh, ha ha ha, and it's not. It's extremely dangerous, and people.
Well, yeah, and we actually covered a story just a couple days ago about Skype hiding IP addresses.
Yeah,
people were actually finding their home addresses through their Skype names, before a change like that was implemented.
Yeah.
And that was one of the prime ways that people would get swatted, was that they had a Skype username flash up on screen, and then from that you can if you dig far enough, get their home physical address.
Right.
And and then you get swatted. So swatting victim is as depressing as writing about data breaches, but this is the future we live in. This is again from Engadget. And in regards to the former, the politician who came out the strongest against the potentially deadly prank found herself on the receiving end of it recently. And as her Boston local CBS station reports, Congresswoman Kathleen Clark had a smattering of police officers with long guns on her front lawn Sunday night. And what did she do? Broadcast some Counter-Strike? No, she's rallying against the Interstate Swatting Hoax Act, a bill that'd make prank calling the SWAT team on someone a federal offense. Currently, the law states that faking a bomb threat or terrorist attack via telecommunications and across state lines is illegal, Swatting is not.
Oh my gosh.
So
Hmm.
yeah. And this is from the Boston Globe, writing that about 10 p.m., a computer-generated voice left a tip saying that shots had been fired and there was an active shooter in the Clark home. Police were dispatched, but an actual SWAT team wasn't. Clark and her family luckily made it through unscathed, but from the sound of it, this incident had the exact opposite result of what the perpetrators likely hoped, and for her to give up. And she told the Globe that it has only strengthened her resolve, which I think is very clear that if you try, if you're speaking out for a cause that you feel is a problem, and then that problem happens to you, that should just strengthen that what you are doing is,
Oh,
just.
exactly.
So, yeah, but long guns, I guess, quote unquote, would be some kind of heavy
Yeah.
assault rifles and things like that. But it just goes to show that swatting, I guess, people walking into your home, that's invasion of privacy and all that kind of thing, and you don't want that. But the real dangerous part is when people, maybe react wrong, or there's a trigger happy, SWAT member, and they are preemptively, almost like about to pull the trigger, and someone dog gets shot, or they get shot, or someone gets hurt. When there are active firearms being thrown around, even if there's nothing going on, there's still that potential for loss of life and property. So it really is a problem.
Yeah, it is. And sending a SWAT team to this politician's home didn't damper her resolve. Fortunately, just to reinforce it.
And as our continued stance here at Computer America, if you SWAT, you're an idiot. I mean, it's.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. Here's an interesting story. For those, this is from Motherboard. Fisher Price, well-known toy company, and we've been talking about the Internet of Things and how wonderful the Internet of Things are, and the flip side of that is it opens the door to bad people who want to do harmful things to you. It can set you up, and here's an example of that. I mean, the Internet of Things is wonderful, and yet here's an example where Fisher Price, they have a little teddy bear, and it's internet connected. Evidently, according to this story from Motherboard, it left the kids' identities exposed. So the story goes on to say, in the age of Internet of Things, teddy bears and Barbie dolls aren't just silent, inanimate dummies anymore. Because they've done this with Barbie doll. Barbie's also on the internet now too. But
yeah, the Barbie one was a little weird as well, because if I recall correctly, like you could not only like record your own voice with your Barbie and everything, but you could upload it, share it with friends, and the Barbie also had like a video camera or a webcam attached to it, so that again, you can make videos of and share with your friends. But as we talked with Charles Sandell just the other day, the Internet of Things doesn't seem to be taking a very proactive approach to security.
Right.
So, those webcams that were found in Barbie and microphones that were found in Barbie tended to be unprotected.
Yeah. Well, evidently this teddy bear from Fisher Price also, because they can, as Ben said, they can actually listen and talk to children. But sometimes these gizmos are sometimes too chatty because they can expose the personal information of their little owners. There was a bug in the web platform of the Fisher Price Smart Toy Bear that potentially allowed hackers to compile a database of all the children using the toy. And this information was just published today. The research highlights the dangers of so-called smart toys just a few weeks after privacy and security researchers found multiple flaws that could turn the internet-connected Hello Barbie doll into a surveillance device. That's what Ben was talking about. Yep. Fisher Price's internet-connected teddy bear has a tiny camera on its nose. Okay. The camera reads a set of smart cards that will trigger the bear to tell jokes, teach kids curious facts, and other specific learning and playing activities. The bear is also able to respond to the children's questions, according to Fisher Price. but they said in a statement that it has remediated the situation and have no reason to believe that customer information was accessed by any unauthorized person. This again, according to Fisher-Price. Mattel and Fisher-Price take the safety of our consumers and their personal data very seriously, which is why we act quickly to resolve potential vulnerabilities like this. This was in a statement from Mattel and Fisher-Price. The Bear also comes with an app for parents, which allows them to control it remotely. A research at security firm Rapid7 found that a flaw in the app's platform web service, or API, allowed hackers to easily find out the names, the birth dates, and the gender of the children using the toy. However, this bug has now been fixed, again, according to Rapid7. So they patched that. Rapid7 said that while the app didn't reveal home addresses or credit card information, boy, it still would have opened the door to scams or phishing attempts. He went on to say that it makes it a lot easier for me to present myself as somebody who ought to know the kid's name or the kid's birthday. This was, again, according to the Rapid7 talk to Motherboard. Look, the Internet of Things is not just smart fridges or thermostat. Smart toys are becoming a $2.8 billion business, according to a recent study. This report and other recent ones, as well as the breach on toy maker VTech, highlight these smart devices, which are becoming increasingly popular, pose serious privacy and security risks. I mean, they're becoming really popular. I mean, these little toys that do all this wonderful stuff, but you know, there's a downside to that. Now, basically, he goes on to say it's like this crashing tsunami of Internet of Things, and every one of them has bugs. He says, I guarantee it. Again, according to Rapid7, told the Motherboard interviewer. He says, you can't expect people to produce bug-free code all the time, every time. People are going to ship bugs. That's just the way of the world. And I would tend to agree with him. I don't think there's anything as such a thing as a perfect program. But the problem, according to him, is that IoT developers often don't have the break-it mindset of hackers or security researchers, and sometimes don't even realize how the products and apps could be tinkered with and exploited. They're saying that they're somewhat innocent on this matter, although I'm sure that's rapidly changing. On the bright side, less than 2 months after Rapid7 reported the flaw, Fisher-Price fixed the bug. Hero, a family GPS tracker also studied by Rapid7, also recently fixed a similar bug. These positive responses from the manufacturers gives Rapid7 some hope for the future. He says, we'll get there. We're in a formative period right now. Okay, and before pausing to wonder what can parents do, but in the meantime, he says, I guess just be careful. You know, that's what the best you can do. So, you know, as these new toys come out that do all these wonderful things, you know, you might, as a parent, want to make sure that, you know, that that it does no security flaws have been reported, and just as he says, be careful before you run out and buy these things. Although they're really do wonderful abilities, smart toys. But again, just be careful.
Yeah, we have one of our correspondents, Marcel Gagne. There we go. I don't know why it took so long to do that. He has his own little personal assistant for a I call it a toy, but it's, you know, a couple $1,000s as opposed to the usual, you know, $10, $20 that a toy is. But yeah, it's for his son, you know, to help teach him, and you know, it's very, very impressive to see what some of these toys with, you know, the different sensors and the different animatronics inside of it, they can do great things.
Yep. But they can also do some bad things too. So you have to be careful.
They can indeed.
Yep.
Let's see that one. And we have enough time for another story.
Yeah.
So let's get into Tesla. We haven't talked about them in a couple weeks. They're announcing their second version of their Powerwall
already. Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, they got an amazing results. They sold those things out like in the first week or month or something, and already the people are really clamoring for them. So he was right on. He knew that there was a high demand for this product.
Definitely, definitely. So, yeah, and this is from Engadget with Steve Dent. And yeah, Tesla's Powerwall was a huge success from the moment that Elon Musk launched it last year. In fact, the device sold out until mid 2016 and may have already hit $1 billion in sales. That's very impressive for a first time, really beta test kind of deal. I mean, first generation devices, they're exciting, but they're usually never that popular. And to see this one take off so much was very, very cool to see.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it turns out that it turns out that there was a lot of pent up demand. If you have solar panels, the device's huge battery lets you run your house after dark, and if you don't, it provides a reliable, long lasting backup.
Yeah. And
even though the first gen Powerwall only started shipping a few months ago, Musk admitted at a private function in the video below. And by the way, this is again from Gadget. If you want to check out the video that is posted here, that we are coming up with a version 2 of the Powerwall probably around July or August of this year. Musk said the new model would provide moderate improvements over the current one, including a longer life cycle. And right now, the Powerwall relies on batteries from Panasonic, but the new version will use cells built at the Tesla Gigafactory. Yes, the ever famous Gigafactory.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, the Nevada plant's enormous capacity should allow Tesla to build a lot more of them to clear back orders and hopefully keep up with demand. A lot of customers are homeowners with solar panels, but businesses have also been adopting the higher capacity commercial models. Mm-hmm. And the first gen was about $3,000 for the $3,000 for the 7 kilowatt version, and allows daily cycling, ideal for solar panel owners. And the 3500 10 kilowatt model supports weekly cycling and is aimed at backup chores. Mm-hmm. So no longer are, I don't say no longer generators are necessary, because if you need power for longer than a week, then you might want something a little bit stronger, but definitely Powerwall, I think, is a really, really great idea if you want to forego the noisy generator and just have something that you can set up in a garage or somewhere up out of the way and be able to provide your home with a full power option.
Well, yeah, I mean, look at generators. I mean, we have one here, as a matter of fact. But when that sucker kicks on, boy, you hear that down the block. It's even with noise insulation, which they all have, it's still very loud, and you can hear it. When some of these generators kicked in. The beauty of this is that it's completely quiet. It's the battery backup. You don't hear anything. It's also instantaneous, unlike a generator, which first has to cut on and then kind of warm up, and then you switch over. The Teslas are silent, and the cutover is almost instantaneous. And also, they take a fraction of the room. A generator. I mean, generator needs. If you're using natural gas, you have to have a natural gas pipe to it. It has to be it's outside of the house. It has to be so far away from the home. You have all these coating restrictions. These are just giant batteries that fit on a wall, and do the job extremely well. It's a modern day version of hot water heaters. Hot water, the old clunky big tanks and everything, and with the electric or gas. And now you have these instant hot water heaters that are available now, and and you have endless hot water supply with those, as long as you have power. They're replacing hot water tanks, which are really old technology. These battery walls, power walls, home batteries, eventually I think will replace most generators, because there's no downside to them. I mean, they can do everything that the generators do. They do it quickly.
Well, the downside is, of course, situations where civilization has collapsed and you're going to need power for longer than 7 days. Yeah. And a generator at least has the added benefit of, gasoline is pretty easy to transport and pour in. So you always have, as long as you have gasoline, you have power. Here,
or natural gas. We have the
natural gas, but here you're kind of reliant on the power grid as we know it. But again, as solar power, as solar panels become more and more popular, these battery backup systems, I think, become more and more viable.
I think aside from the doomsday scenario, of our infrastructure collapsing.
According to the television I've been watching, that is coming right around the corner.
Well, okay, that may or may not be.
That is not to be dismissed.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is that if for the average person who's looking for a reliable backup power source, for a few hours, if the electrical power goes down, or you're looking to at nighttime to supplant your solar power, if you have, this certainly is a viable option as opposed to a regular gasoline or gas generator, and in many ways I think will do the job a lot better. And they're also the price of them are still in the upper end, but I'm sure they'll come down. I mean, an average gas generator that you buy today might cost you like $1,500, maybe a really good one.
Right.
And $2,000. These are still up there around $3,000, but I'm sure prices will fall, especially when they move up to the Giga battery plant where they're making their own batteries.
And that's what they said, that the second generation power. So
yeah,
where they're making their own, and the Gigafactory is supposed to produce a lot of batteries. Like, that's the whole point. And I think that is where Tesla is going to find its long-term staying power, because the Tesla car project is pretty cool, and the SpaceX is very, very
Hyperloop,
dearly needed. But at the end of the day, batteries are something that everyone wants and everyone has a use for. So it's nice to see that they're going to be the ones producing tons of them.
Yeah, and that will bring the pricing down. Wow, time is really flying here. Okay, we got less than a half an hour.
Last half hour.
Yeah, and we only covered a couple of the news stories, but ones that needed to be covered and more in depth. And I'm glad we're getting it. Anyway, you're listening to the Computer America Show. Ben and I are doing computer technology news, brought to you by Slimware Utilities, the official optimization software of Computer America. We've got another news tips bullet review from Marty Winston coming up as well. We'll be right back with more Computer America. Please stay with us. Hi, this is Craig Crossman, host of the Computer America Show. You have important meetings to schedule. Your company's getting ready for its IPO, and you're in charge of the PTA fundraiser this month. So how do you coordinate everyone to be available at the same time? Are you still using emails, phone calls, even text messages to schedule meetings with a group of people? How's that working out for you? Not so great, huh? It's a fact that every day, millions of people suffer from scheduling headaches. Well, with Doodle, scheduling meetings with a group of people is quick and easy. With Doodle, you can easily propose available times to each member. Each one checks off the times that they're available, and then you simply pick the time that works best for the group, all in an easy-to-read display that integrates with your existing calendar. Nothing could be more simple. Give Doodle a try for free, and like millions of Doodle users, you'll truly see how easy it is to find the perfect date and time for all your meetings. That's www.doodle.com. Looking for a best friend? Brother Wolf Animal Rescue has your best friend waiting just for you. The mission of Brother Wolf Animal Rescue is to help build a sustainable, no-kill community where no dogs or cats are ever killed for population control, where true euthanasia is reserved only for animals who are irremediably suffering, or for animals who are truly a threat to society and with no hope of rehabilitation. Brother Wolf staff and volunteers go door to door, neighborhood by neighborhood, to educate citizens about local resources available for at-risk pets and to help their families connect with those resources. Brother Wolf's community-based approach to no-kill helps keep family pets healthy, happy, and in their homes and out of the local shelter system in the first place. For more information or to make a tax-deductible donation to this wonderful 501c3 organization, visit their website at www.bwar.org. Help to realize Brother Wolf's vision when no animal is euthanized for lack of a home.
Who's a good boy?
Yes, Sasquatch and Chewbacca look like cousins. Hi, Marty Winston with the News Tips Bulletin Review for Computer America. This time, the Okie Dokies Smart Lock. By now, we've all seen lots of electronic deadbolt products, so it's noteworthy that we found some cause for delight in the Smart Lock from Okie Dokies. It doesn't try to replace any part of the deadbolt except the inside thumb turn. It comes with all the tools you need to install it, and it includes 3 swappable housings, nickel, brass, and bronze, to match your decor. You can still use the same metal key as always to get in from the outside, and it has its own thumb turn inside. So even if you forget it's there and let its batteries die, deadbolts work as always. When you do install it and configure its app, you can set it up so your smartphone automatically unlocks it as you approach, hands-free. Bottom line, Okie dokie smart locks don't make you change your habits or protections just to get the services of an intelligent doorman at your deadbolt. Marty Winston with the News Tips Bulletin Review for Computer America.
Oh man, if past experience has anything to say about this, it'll still say, "I don't know you. Go away. Why are you here? Get away from me." Welcome back to the Computer America Show as the joke lands flat. So, welcome back to the Computer America Show. It is no rim shot. Well, after the fact. So yeah, welcome back to the Computer America Show. 33 minutes past the hour in our last half hour of the show, and we are doing computer and technology news brought to you by Somewhere Utilities. Really getting into a couple of these stories.
Yeah.
Nice discussion today.
Yes, I think so. Absolutely.
Yeah, so we just finished up the one about the version 2 of the Tesla power bank. Didn't get as much fanfare, or at least it did get a lot of fanfare, but didn't get the fanfare because it's not a car, it's not something really sexy, but I think they found a good way to make power banks sexy. And it didn't get a lot of fanfare, partially because it's the replacement for a generator. Woohoo, so awesome. But it also got some fanfare because or at least it lacked fanfare because it sold out so quickly. Not a lot of people were able to get this. So to match demand, that they are going to be producing their own batteries from the Gigafactory, as they've said before, and coming out soon, the version 2 of the power bank.
Yeah. Okay.
Powerwall,
exactly. And obviously, he has a talent, for the knack for calling things that consumers want.
He has an autobiography out. I have not had the chance to read it, but I hear he is a very, very smart guy. I mean, it's one thing to say, he runs a successful business and he's smart because he has a lot of money. No, he's just a smart guy in himself, and it's very, very interesting to read about him.
Yeah, exactly. Did you know there's a hashtag, where is Elon now, or something like that?
Yeah, that was used during not the SpaceX, whatever that one thing was.
MIT.
Yes, MIT.
Talking about the
where they won the competition.
Yeah, the Hyperloop. Yeah, exactly. Well, I know you recently were a fairly large consumer of the Uber service as well as Lyft. But here's a little known fact that you might not know, and that is how Uber profits even while its drivers aren't earning any money. How does that happen? Well, according to Motherboard, it says, it starts by saying, this Jay Casana wrote this today. He says, if I'm doing something useful for the company, I should be paid for that time. Okay. That's what work is, right? Well, this is evidently he heard this from an Uber driver who was driving him over the Brooklyn Bridge. It says, it seems like a simple enough principle, and yet when it comes to the nature of work in the digital platform economy, getting paid for that time is anything but a simple proposition. His driver, Mark, had a special appreciation for what constitutes value to a corporation. In a city where most Uber and taxi drivers are recent immigrants, he's an anomaly, a former Wall Street banker who was laid off in the recession and has turned to Uber for part-time work. Mark and other Uber drivers he spoke to for the story, both in person and online, have requested that their names not be used, okay? All right, to protect them. The usefulness his driver referred to is the data he generates for Uber. Not when he has a fare, but when he is waiting to be summoned and isn't making any money. Uber drivers call that time without fares dead miles. Drivers may spend that time roaming around waiting for the next request from the Uber app, or they may drive from a low-density area where they dropped off their passenger back to a high-density area where they are more likely to find a new passenger. Okay. While those dead miles are unpaid, the data these drivers generate during that time is immensely valuable to Uber. Interviews and research conducted last year by The Data and Society Research Institute illustrated how Uber collects data from drivers even during their unpaid time, because they continue to generate useful data for Uber even when they're not carrying a fare, because they relay data back to the central platform from which inferences can be drawn about traffic patterns and which feed into supply and demand algorithm for algorithmic analysis. The data set feeds into Uber's algorithms for understanding traffic patterns and driver safety, for instance, as well as for estimating and manipulating supply and demand through surge pricing and other techniques, including what some have described as phantom cabs. That data these Uber drivers produce is also an invaluable business asset, helping Uber develop new partnerships with both municipalities and other corporations, and for maintaining its competitiveness. Okay. So amid a growing recognition that data is an essential component of running a technology business, some drivers and labor advocates are considering drivers' dead miles as unseen labor and are wondering if Uber's data collection constitutes a new kind of wage theft. Yeah. Uber is the closest thing to an employer we've ever seen in this industry, said the founder of the New York Taxi Workers Alliance. They not only direct every aspect of a driver's workday, they also profit off the entire day through data collection, not just the sale of a product, which is the drive, when you engage them. So unlike Facebook and Google, which trade users' data in exchange for their free services, riders and drivers may be thought of as more traditional customers, as employees, paying and receiving a monetary fee for a service. Drivers pay a hefty cut for the ability to accept rides. That's between a 20 to 30% fee to Uber. But like Uber's users, its drivers are also creating unseen value outside of those transactions. See, Uber sees its drivers the same way as it sees cars or roads or passengers or anything for that matter. Asking whether drivers should get compensated for the data they create while they're off duty is certainly a valid question. I mean, especially if Uber is using these dead miles. Now, Uber is not the only on-demand service to gather data about its contractors even during dead miles. Lyft also routinely collects data from its drivers even when they're not engaged in a fare. But questions about Uber's collection of data driver coincide with growing disputes over the nature of piecemeal work on its platform. As observers raise concerns about the company's size and competitive advantages over its rivals, it has also become the focal point of legal challenges from workers in the so-called sharing or on-demand economy. Okay. So the story goes on to say, that online forums for Uber drivers, many message threads are devoted to how to minimize dead miles. According to the nearly 24 drivers that this reporter interviewed in New York City and around the country, dead miles take up somewhere between a third and half of the time that they're working. Working here means that their car with an Uber app open, okay, with a passenger. For some drivers, dead miles can take up most of the workday, considering a workday is 10 to 12 hours every day. He goes on, if he's driving for 12 hours in a day, this one Uber driver says, he says, I can spend maybe 7 hours without a passenger, he says. Then the 12 hours does not include his commute into New York City from New Jersey. And this is all costing him money. For other drivers, dead miles could be as low as 10% of their time, but only if they work selectively at the most high demand hours of the week, rush hours and weekend nights. In general, drivers who use Uber as a source of supplementary income, like students or retirees, were more selective about when they drove and had fewer dead miles. But drivers who rely on Uber to pay their full cost of living tend to work more hours, but with more downtime between the fares. So they're saying that drivers should be compensated for these dead miles.
Well, yeah, and not to get, I didn't realize this article was so long, but yeah, I've heard this from a number of Uber and Lyft drivers where they feel they should be compensated for the time that they spend waiting for
Yeah.
fare.
Yeah.
They think that maybe minimum wage would be fair enough or whatnot, but the time that they have to spend driving around doing nothing, and then the time that they also have to spend getting to the driver, and then also, or I'm sorry, getting to the rider, and then also waiting for the rider, because some riders, I think in the rule book says you have to get to the location where they're marked, and then you have to wait 5 minutes, and then you can cancel the fare. So they have to wait the 5 minutes there. Even if it's really, really busy, they can't cancel it unless they wait that 5 minutes. So they think that the drivers should be compensated for the time that they spend driving to a location and the time that they spend waiting, and also they should be paid by Uber to just be on call essentially.
I think that's very fair. I think that is certainly
Which is, one of the benefits of that the traditional cab companies had was that their employees, they can make so much in tips and fare money based on how much business, but they're at least guaranteed minimum wage for every hour that they've worked.
right.
So,
Exactly. They put an 8-hour day that at least they're going to get paid the 8 hours on top of the what else they're getting
Right.
from or something. And that doesn't happen with Uber. And I think that this certainly would come under the minimum wage blanket of the U.S. government.
But it's one of those beautiful things called an independent contractor, where you really don't have to give them any rights or benefits of being a worker for you, but you still get their services.
Yeah, I think Uber is getting a free ride on this thing.
Good one.
I think so. But I agree. I think you were on the same page. I think Uber drivers should be compensated for dead miles, and I mean it's not their fault. I mean they're trying to make a buck, and they should be compensated because they are there. I mean they're working for the company, even though they're independent contractors. Something should put them under and someone's going to have to do something. I agree. Okay.
So, wow, that was such a long story. Let's see. Let's go on over to in a world where automated cars are all the rage,
Mm-hmm.
and for good reason. They're very, very cool. There's a car company who stands against the wind and says, "I will not be like the others."
Uh-huh.
And this particular car company is Porsche.
Oh yes. Oh yeah.
Porsche. Yes, so Porsche is they are a very, very well-known car manufacturer. They're very well known for their sports cars.
Mhm.
And Porsche is makes very, very beautiful cars. But here they made it onto CNET, where they say that Porsche's vehicles may be luxurious, but they're marketed as being sporty more than anything, and a fun sports car isn't one that drives itself.
Yep.
And that's the line of thinking behind Porsche's CEO, who stated that the company won't follow its segment mates into the realm of autonomy.
So no autonomous drivers for Porsche. No self-driving cars.
No self-driving cars, because Porsche markets themselves as a what do you call it? They market themselves as a sports car,
right?
And they feel that part of the elements of a sport, like they feel like if you want the adrenaline rush of rapid acceleration, then go ride a roller coaster, go do something else. But if you want to actually control a vehicle and really feel the power of a Porsche, then that's best done with two hands on the wheels and paying attention to how your car is reacting.
Right.
Autonomous car takes away from the experience.
Yep, it does. So that makes sense. That makes sense. If I want a sports car, I mean, I've had a sports car, and one of the things I enjoyed about it was the actual physical driving of that vehicle. It was man and machine, all kind of rolled into one. You were part of the car. You were reading the road ahead, interpreting, downshifting when you needed to do all that stuff. That's all part of the sports car experience, and you don't get that in a self-driving car. I think self-driving cars certainly have a category and a need, and absolutely they're coming and they're going to be wonderful, but not everything is needed for. It's not going to replace all of the driving experience. There's going to be room for people who enjoy the the sport of driving, and they should have cars for that. And Porsche is obviously going to be one of them.
Yeah, absolutely. But the article does make it very important distinction in that they aren't, just ignoring the future, in that they do have the Mission E concept, which is a fully electric sports sedan that will mark the company's first foray into battery electric vehicles. That from Reuters reports that Porsche CEO is saying that the plug-in hybrid 911 is coming as early as 2018. So where autonomous cars for Porsche may be out, and don't get me wrong, that's probably going to save them a boatload in autonomous car research that would have otherwise been, money hard fought. But they are bringing out an electric car. So,
Now, electric cars that can be just as sporty, if not, I mean, the Tesla.
I think the Tesla made that abundantly clear that just because it says an electric car, because the first electric car a lot of people dealt with was something like the, I think the Fiesta's one, and the Prius.
The Prius.
Prius was a hybrid, but the first foray into electric cars was these dinky little low energy sipping kind of deals. But with the Tesla, those things can book.
They have the ludicrous mode. I think it goes from 0 to 60 in like under 4 seconds. I mean,
like 3.2 seconds or something like that.
That is head jolting back to the.
That is all throttle.
That is all throttle, and certainly can do that. And so I am confident that Porsche will come up with an electric sports car that will rival, if not, will be the same thing. It'll be the adrenaline rush kind of sporting enthusiasts look for in a sports car. And that makes perfect sense. But the self-driving car makes perfect sense. That's not for Porsche. It's not what they're about. I agree with you. So anything more on this story, or was that pretty much the point of it?
Anything? No, that was pretty much the point of it. Where all the other car companies are making, at CES, there was a lot of talk about just what, all this car. All the car manufacturers are doing, and autonomy was definitely one of them. It's different. I don't even want to say it was nice, because I like the idea of never having to drive again. But it's definitely different to see a car company say, we're not going to do autonomous cars because our cars are an experience, and we feel autonomy is not the experience we want to sell.
Well, you've driven a sports car before. You understand the adrenaline rush, and I mean, you.
It's nice, but I would gladly give it up every day of the week if I could drive 8 hours without ever having to look at the road. I would give that up instantly.
Well, you'd have a car maybe for the weekend. Have your little sports car for the weekend or something.
Yeah. I would give it all up.
Okay, well,
I'm ready for autonomous cars, I tell you.
Well, evidently not. The whole world isn't ready to give it up yet, according to the CEO of Porsche.
We'll find out in 10 years when they become commercially available.
We will. Okay, we tell people about how you can listen to the audio stream, audio archives of Computer America on Stitcher and SoundCloud, and but you can't get the live stream on SoundCloud. Well, evidently, according to Engadget, that's about to change. SoundCloud is starting to add stations to encourage music discovery. In other words, the audio app is now inching toward a proper streaming service. Okay. Again, the article from Engadget goes on to say it's no secret that SoundCloud is aiming to roll out its audio streaming service this year. And SoundCloud is laying the groundwork with new features. Okay, with an update to both Android and iOS apps, SoundCloud added a new stations feature to encourage music discovery. The continuous play tool will help you find songs that aren't available anywhere else by starting an endless mix from any track. And yes, it's a feature that that the likes of Pandora, Spotify, and Apple Music already offer. Okay. The stations feature uses your listening habits and the tracks you'd like to determine the mix. All you have to do is tap the 3-dot menu next to a track and select the Start Track Station option. After the first song, your station is based on plays. You'll still get the title under what's currently playing, and you'll know where you started. You know, in case something really strange pops up. If you find a mix you like, you can revisit them from the recent stations under the like section of your profile. The feature is live in both iOS and Android apps now, but hasn't made it to the web just yet. But if you want to, your mobile version of SoundCloud now is beginning to offer audio streaming. Now, it only talks about music, but as you know, SoundCloud also carries podcasts, and likes of also, which one of them is our show, Computer America. We don't know whether they're going to start streaming talk broadcasts, but certainly I would think that's probably part of the evolution of this. So I would tend to think that talk shows will eventually be available for streaming on SoundCloud as well. At least that's if they follow suit to.
Well, the idea of tracking the analytics behind what you're listening to, and then recommending other things for you to listen to, and just keeping you on the platform. We've seen how important data can be. They want to keep people, sitting there listening to SoundCloud as long as they can, and then it also benefits that if the artists that are on SoundCloud, and there are a lot of great artists that only upload their work to SoundCloud, if they can show that they're getting more and more views, they'll be more likely to stay subscribed and keep paying. So it makes perfect financial sense. It's just they're entering a very crowded marketplace.
So maybe adding news or talk radios might be an additional wrinkle to that, because it's working successfully for the other services as well. So I don't see why SoundCloud would not do it, if at all. I mean, they're already doing it now. So I think just to roll that into the live streaming would make perfect sense to do that.
Well, yeah. I mean, podcasts are, we're not a podcast, we're a radio show, but just for terms of argument, podcasts have they're getting more and more attention. I mean, Google and their store just started doing podcasts as well. Mm-hmm. So and that's essentially what the archived version of our radio show is essentially a podcast. So Google has recognized that SoundCloud is going to start recognizing that people like listening to podcasts. And yeah, we're gonna be right there with them.
Yes, we will. Okay. I think we have time for you to do one more quick story, Ben.
One more quick. Yeah, it better be quick. Let's go on over to. I got one. Comcast. Not a lot of good news coming out from them lately because people love to hate on the big guy, but this big guy. This is from Ars Technica. Comcast will be delivering 2 gigabit per second fiber available to 18 million homes.
Yay!
Gigabit cable will be coming soon.
All right.
So yeah, and that's Atlanta and Nashville get gigabit cable first, with Chicago, Detroit, and Miami on the horizon.
Wow.
So this is Comcast announced today that its gigabit cable internet service will be available in Atlanta and Nashville early this year, with the next deployment coming to Chicago, Detroit, and Miami in the second half of 2016. So exact deployment dates have yet to be revealed, but you can be assured it won't be too long. And of course, they're going, by the end of this, it says that they have 18 million homes planned. And that's a nice big chunk with which passes 55 million homes and businesses in 39 states and Washington, D.C. The 2 gig fiber service launched first in Atlanta, spreading next to Chicago, Detroit, Miami, Nashville, and other metro areas. So yeah, not a lot to get into this. Just be on the lookout for Comcast. I have heard that the pricing scheme is rather steep. Like this 2 gigabit service for like a personal home is like $300 a month. Yeah. So yes, 2 gig service. That's great. We love that they're giving people that choice. We kind of hate that it's going to cost, outrageous amounts of money just to get it.
Pockets. You need deep pockets for that one.
Definitely.
They're
So-
gonna put a $1,000 in startup fees too.
That too. So yeah, just keep an eye out for that. And if you really need that 2 gig service, hey, it's nice to at least have the option, even if it's nigh unattainable.
Exactly. Eventually, it's all going to come down, though. Eventually, as prices drop, we'll see more and more of that becoming available as broadband internet gets distributed to everywhere. Well, that about wraps up the show. Again, thanks all of you for listening to us. It's coming up tomorrow. It's our good guy from techguy.org, Mike Cermak, the owner-operator of techguy.org, is going to be joining us. He joins us
90 seconds.
every first Wednesday of the month. Mike is just a fun guy. He's been running techguy.org, which is a free website that allows you to get free technical support 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. He's going to be here with us talking about different issues, and it'll be the first time we've talked to him since CES, so you can talk a little bit about that as well. And I think we just missed him at that point.
Yeah, I believe that was one of the shows that you and
60 seconds.
Nathan Evans did.
That's right. Yeah, exactly. And Nate did with Mike. He was on the, and we did not do the trivia contest that he does. So we're going to continue that up. We'll pick that back up in the tomorrow's show. And again, in the second hour, we'll be doing more computer and technology news, brought to you by Slimware Utilities, the official optimization software of the Computer America Show. Again, thank you all so much for being with us today. And Ben and I will see you same time, same station. So until tomorrow afternoon, this is Craig Crossman, hoping that your hard disk never becomes floppy. We'll see you tomorrow afternoon.
Have a good one, everyone.
Bye-bye.
10 seconds.
Woohoo!
Thank you for using Blog Talk Radio. Goodbye.
Okay, everybody, again, thanks for watching. Mike Cermak tomorrow. We'll see you tomorrow afternoon, 3 to 5 p.m. Eastern Time. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone.